Okay. Now we want to hear from you in the audience what you think, what questions you have. The speakers are assembling up here. We need to add an additional chair because there are 5 speakers and 4 chairs. So perhaps you can just take a chair, get a chair. Oh, they're all clamped. Maybe just someone stand. Yeah, okay. So having listened to these 5 speakers, what questions, thoughts do you have as an audience? First of all, was it clear what you heard? Yes? And what questions do you have for the speakers that arose from their presentations? You have a question. It should be on.
Hello? I have a question. But firstly, I would just say, Michael, there's nowhere in the world where they take into account the interdependent effects. There are some built form effects that are on microclimate, but they're very limited to a few. Anyway, but my question is for Agness and for Sue. What are the limitations of these tools that we have in determining outcomes? How accurate are they? How confident are you with the results?
It's on.
It's on. Okay. I can tell for the MVMAT model, so we are talking about microscale analysis. Let's say that with an experienced knowledge, you can reach accurate estimations. I mean, it's a tool that can be used by everyone, but you need to be aware of what you are simulating. So, for example, in terms of air temperature estimations, I've compared the results from the modeling to some measurements in the area that I shown before, and they match in terms of air temperature. We haven't yet validated the model in terms of radiation balance. That is what we are doing now for the urban albedo, so that we can also we will be able to say if the estimation in terms of albedo and radiation balance are also accurate. So they are expensive in terms of computation. They need experience knowledge in the field, but they can be accurate if they are used properly. That's my answer.
So all models are simplifications of reality, and the challenge is actually normally having enough data to evaluate the models, in the sense of, I mean, you've been doing these walks around London, and I assume the temperature and wind measurements are at 2 meters when you do those weekly. Now that's a unique data set, and there are not those sorts of data sets, across London or across most cities in the world. So I think, there are places where the models have been well evaluated. As soon as you get to knowing some level of the uncertainty, there's always more details that we would like to account for, in terms of the range of climatological conditions. If you take your observations, which look very interesting for evaluating models, is have you done it on the most extreme days? If you think about last summer, that was an extreme. We need to be evaluating the models: extreme cold, the average, and the extreme hot. So the models, we normally have some idea of the uncertainty, but I would say a real concern is the lack of observations. And as soon as we actually sort of say, okay, the model's doing okay at this point, then there's another level of detail that we would like to resolve. So I'd say, the models are reasonable. They have uncertainty. You need to be aware of that, but they're better than nothing, and that we then need to think about how can we improve them.